For this assignment, we are going to introduce some new functions. We have our max formula, min formula, average formula. We're also going to be using some absolute references, and those will be in relation to these tax rates up here. But before we do anything, why don't we format some of our cells so that things will fit a little easier and look a little nicer. So let's start by merge and center our A1 cell across G and apply heading 1. You'll see here the two options. We can auto fit, or what we're going to use actually with this is going to be a wrap text. This will put it on 2 lines. Okay, and we can copy that format then and drag it across. So you'll see it adjust the federal hours worked hourly rate. All right, next, why don't we start with our formula? So gross pay is your hourly rate times hours work. So let's start by going equals, and we're going to always use cell reference. So let's go cell B4 times C4 and enter. We're going to use our autofill function, which is the black little X that gets generated here. Hold down your left button and drag down. So now we filled that formula across. Federal tax. This is where we're going to use our auto format, or our referencing federal tax rate. So I'm going to show you how things work if you do it wrong first, then correct it. So if you go federal, take your gross pay times the tax rate, gets you $30.45. Now if we copy it down, you're going to see we have all these zeros. So what it did was, if you look in the next cell, we got D5 times I2, D6 times I3, I4, I5, I6. So we want all of our cells in the D column to multiply by I1. So to do this, simply go up into your formula bar, click in so that your cursor is bouncing around there in the I, press F4. So let's begin by clicking on D4 times the I1 again. Press F4 on my keyboard, it's function F4. What you're going to get are these dollar signs. What that does is it fixes the column I and row 1. So press enter again, but now when we multiply those two, or we autofill it down, you'll see D5 is times I, cell I1. D6, I1, so on and so on. Okay, so we're going to repeat that same step though with the state tax. So equals gross pay times our state tax rate of 5%. And then before you click out, go F4 or function F4, enter, and then we are going to autofill down. Next, net pay. So your net pay is the difference between your gross pay and your taxes. So to do this, we're going to manually enter. There's not a automatic formula like there is sum, min, max, average. So let's start by going our equal sign, gross pay minus, now we're going to use our shift 9, federal tax plus state tax. Okay, so this way it adds up. First it'll work what's in the parentheses, E4 plus F4, then subtract it from our gross pay. Enter, and then autofill down. Okay, so you should have this. Now why don't we go ahead and format some of these cells? Just moving forward. Net pay, we can highlight. Just press here for the accounting format, and that'll round off your numbers too. Same, let's go state tax, accounting, federal tax, gross pay, and hourly rate. So we'll go ahead and do that. Total, so there's two ways. We covered last chapter, equals sum. Okay. Select, shift 0, and enter. Or the other way then is to go equals this auto sum button here. Sometimes it does take a few clicks, or in my case, a number of them. Okay, so when you press the auto sum button, it should formulate and automatically grab all the numbers from above. If there were numbers in here you didn't want, you could simply click on the cells and drag it down or up. So in this case, it should have populated correctly D4 through D13. Simply press enter, and then you got your total across. We're going to look for the highest. So this is your maximum value. So if you want to find out who did I pay the most, okay, you can go equals max, shift 9, and then highlight everything above from cell 4 or row 4 through 13. Shift 0, enter. So here we don't really need this, so we're going to delete that. Lowest. So if we had a maximum for the high, our low is our minimum or min function. So what was the lowest amount we paid anyone during this time frame? So I came to 84. And our average, AV, so you'll see there you got average. Again, select the cells that you want in there. It'll populate then in the middle of the brackets. Press enter, and you can see the average pay then was $118.01. So now we finished all of our formulas that we're going to cover. Now let's just make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. So when we do charts, graphs, tables in this area, we want to help and create a visual separation. So let's apply a cell style to row 3. Let's see, why don't we go 40%, center, and we'll go bold. That way it's a visual offsetter from the rest of your data below. Let's review some things. So why don't we highlight, bold, we'll right align those. Here we have some names that are pretty crunched, so why don't we do an auto fit. This will extend out the employee name, hourly rate, work, and so on and so on. Alright, so this is the end of this example or this video. Go ahead and submit your assignment and work through the next one on your own.